So thanks everyone for joining today. My name is Nathan Pacini. I am a marketing manager at Data Science Dojo. And today I have Scott Taylor, also known as the Data Whisperer.
The data whisperer.
Emphasis on the "the," and he's going to be talking about telling your data story and leveraging the three V's of data storytelling for data management. So, um, like I mentioned at the end of the webinar today, we do have a dedicated slide for Q&A. So ask your questions whenever. And Scott, why don't you go ahead and I will fade into the background.
Super. Thank you, Nathan, for that introduction. Thank you, Fatima, for reaching out to me and having me share my thoughts with this group. Welcome, everybody. Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer. It is soft skills time today here on the 64th webinar for Data Science Dojo this year. I heard the last one of the year. And I'll be focusing on telling your data storytelling for data management, and leveraging what I call the three V's, which I will certainly get into, but it's all about soft skills time. A lot of this comes from my book, Telling Your Data Story, by the same name. Couple of tidbits here. Please mute. I think you're already on mute. Spotlight me or pin me. Yes, put the questions in the chat. Once I get going, I just get going. So we will have time at the end to look at that. And I will give away a free copy, e-copy of my book for the best questions. So let's hear what you've got for me. And feel free to post if you want to take screenshots, if you want to post about this. No problem. Go ahead there. The recording and the presentation will be available afterwards. That's the number one question. Do they send out the slides? Yes, you will get those as well. And just because I understand that some of the other presentations are kind of intricate in the visuals, there will be no live coding with this one. No, sir. The only thing you're going to see is PowerPoint and hearing me talk about it. Every enterprise has a data story to tell. And it's about why managing your data is of strategic importance to your company. Now, as data experts, data scientists, data leaders, you know that. But the people who aren't on this call don't know that. We've got to get the business side engaged. And if you're reaching out and need to collaborate, which you must do in data with your business stakeholders, with your C-level, with your executives, and you're looking for their engagement, their support, their funding, then you need to tell a story about why data is so important to your organization. So our agenda today, I'm going to talk about my data story, why you should even talk to me, why you need a data story, the relevance of data management, the context of everything else that's going on in the technology space today, the types of data storytelling, there are two, the V's of data storytelling, from my view, there are three. And then I'll show you how we put this all in play for some examples. We'll take some questions and I will tell you one last data story at the end that hopefully will send you off inspired. And to a great degree, I don't do data management. I don't do data science. I'm not a data practitioner. I'm out there talking about how people talk about it. We all have a role to play. I think I play mine really well, but I stick to my position. I am a true storyteller by nature. And hopefully what I'll help give you today are some new ways to talk about what you already know. You can boil my entire data philosophy down to three words: truth before meaning. You need to determine the truth in your data before you derive meaning out of it. It is not chicken or egg here. It is egg and omelet. If you do not have good data, well-managed data, well-stewarded data, to go into your data science, analytics, business intelligence activity, then you're not going to get there. So you need those good ingredients before you try and cook something. So not chicken or egg here, it is egg and omelet. And when I say truth and meaning, I don't mean anything personal. What is the meaning of my life? What is the truth that I believe? That's all up to you. This is about business. This isn't about politics either. The word truth in politics has certainly been maligned and distorted. This is about business. This is about commercial. You can derive and understand the truth of your business in terms of customers and products. You can determine the meaning you need out of that truth for your business. So let's not get too philosophical. Let's just stick with the commercial reality. Now, a little background on me, Scott Taylor. As you probably noticed by now, even though I'm the data whisperer, I do not do a lot of whispering. I'm out there telling, selling, and yelling about the power and value of proper data management to an organization. My company, Meta Consulting, we're about what it's about. And no, we're not changing our name to Facebook. We help people tell their data story. I deliver what I call data evangelism as a service. How do you get people super excited about the data space, which tends to be way too technical for most business folks to understand and really grab onto? I do shows with data brands. I'm a content creator. I work with software and service providers in the data space, as well as doing corporate data events, and then try to share my knowledge and my perspective where I can on these kinds of webinars to the larger data community. My background is at Nielsen, Dun & Bradstreet, Kantar, these iconic data brands that have been out there for, in some cases, decades. And my experience with them put me in front of every type of data company at every level of maturity across all kinds of sectors across the entire world. So that's my limited scope of experience. But I've spoken to so many data folks that, kind of like a doctor who's never had the disease but has talked to thousands of patients, I get it. I get the pain you go through, I get the challenges, and I think I'm here to help. A couple of accolades here. I'll show you my brag slide. I'm among the Data IQ 100 in the who's who of data management from Analytica, a Dataversity top 10 blogger. I'm a CDO, leading consultant, thought leader, the data god of data whispering from Crackdose, all kinds of ways that have recognized the content and perspective I have as valuable to the community. I also have a YouTube channel. You should check it out. I've got 50-something videos on there. Some of them are a little serious. Some of them are a little wacky, like Too Much Tech Talk, which is a puppet service announcement, as I call it, about the dangers of talking too technical with your business stakeholders. It stars the CDO, the Chief Dog Officer, and the ITB who speaks only in buzzwords. So you want to check those out on YouTube. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. And everybody wants to be disruptive in the data space, in the technology space. I think I come by that honestly. I've been disruptive since the 4th grade. This is my 4th grade picture. I don't know if you can pick me out here. That's me. I really haven't changed much, have I? Even with the polka dots. In my report card, my teacher actually wrote in the 4th grade, Scott is disruptive and distracting to others. I took that as a compliment. Now, what inspired me to write the book and working with all these kinds of data folks across all these different kinds of companies, all the talk I've been hearing, certainly over the last few years, about data science, data literacy, and data storytelling, where was the voice of data management in this? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it declaratively enough. I didn't hear it proud enough. I didn't hear it loud enough to have people realize the truth part of the data space, determining that truth through data management, is as important as deriving meaning on the analytics and the business intelligence side. So I took it upon myself to write this book, telling your data storytelling for data management. You can see right on the cover, it is 99% buzzword free. I didn't want to overpromise. I got some nice accolades there too. A must read for anybody who needs funding for data management, a truly entertaining and amazing read, a critical piece of business literature. But, not everybody scores 5 stars all the way. I had this one, and I'll be transparent about it. My 1-star review, nothing about data storytelling, it's about data management. I mean, it's on the cover of the book. You can't sell a book by a cover, but you can certainly tell what a book is by the cover. It says right on the book, data storytelling for data management. So I don't know who that idiot is. And I'm also the #1 data book in Amazon in performing arts. Now, let me explain that methodology. So for some reason, I was categorized in 3 different categories, something around 2 of them are about data, and 1 of them, for some reason, is performing arts. I looked across all the books in performing arts. The #1 book is Stranger Things coloring book. You've got Renaissance Polyphony, Suzuki Violin School. I'm the only data book in performing arts, which of course makes me the #1 data book in performing arts. So you can make analytics do whatever you want to. Now, there was a white paper presented last year from McKinsey They certainly know what they're talking about. They talked about the 6 ways to drive data governance excellence in an organization. And if you take a look at these 6 ways, 3 of them in particular: securing top management's attention, integrating with primary transformational themes, and generating excitement for data. If you don't have a story, you're never going to do those 3 things. How do you capture your C-level executives' attention? How do you get people excited about it? You need to focus on why it's important. I'm about the why, not the how. And many of you out there, with all respect, when you try and present something that you're going to do or want to do with data, sometimes you focus a little bit too much on how it's going to get done. And I've never met a CEO, and I've spent more than my share of time with those folks, who cares about how it's going to get done until they understand why. So focus on why it's important. And what I'll show you today are a couple of ways to figure out why it's important to your company. Data storytelling, probably the hottest non-technical topic going on today in the data space. I really believe most of the activity has been around analytics. You could call it almost analytic storytelling. The horse has left the barn on that nomenclature, but at least trying to frame it for you in the way I view the world. There's 30 books out there, some of them really wonderful, by friends of mine, about analytics data storytelling, about business intelligence, about taking data and putting it in a business context to drive value. Super important. But there's another side of this too, the data side, the data management side. So again, I suggest there are 2 types of data storytelling out there. One for business intelligence and one for data management. That analytics side, when I say business intelligence, that's where you derive meaning through data science, data literacy, machine learning, artificial intelligence, visualization. On data management side, it's determining that truth through data governance, data quality, master data, reference data, metadata, MDM, RDM, PIM, DAM, all those foundational activities that every enterprise has to do to steward, curate, manage, and distribute and syndicate that core content that flows through everything we do with data. So determining the truth and deriving meaning. 2 types of data storytelling. One for business intelligence, stories with data, using it, and another one for data management, about data and making it. You need both. It's not Sophie's choice here. You don't have to choose. Every organization needs to tell both stories. And another way to think about it is that data management story is where data starts. That's where data starts in an organization. And the analytics and business intelligence story is where data ends up. So you don't need quotes from Yogi Berra to figure out that if you don't start correctly, you're not going to get to where you want to go. Now, how do we elevate this too? As I mentioned, that McKinsey study said you have to align to the primary transformational themes that are going on in the enterprise space. And while every kind of company doesn't do the same thing, at this foundational level, the challenges they face, the trends they are looking at, the opportunities they have, if they're not identical, they are probably more the same than they are different. So I'm going to talk in a fairly generic way, so it's extensible across all your different categories. But as I talk, think about the nomenclature, the terminology you might use for these same kinds of initiatives. So the big macro trends out there: digital transformation, hyper-personalization, contactless engagement. Everybody's going into restaurants now with QR codes, or finally had their day over COVID. That's not going away. E-commerce, how many companies were thrust into e-commerce during the pandemic and weren't quite ready yet? But that's an opportunity for every kind of company. Omni-channel marketing, the metaverse, data privacy regulations, account-based marketing, the Internet of Things, the whole 4th industrial revolution, all these swirling macro trends that are out there and are occupying the heads of your executive leadership. Data management is macro trend agnostic. Every one of these things takes technology. If you have technology, you need hardware, you need software, you need data. And if you have data, you need data management. So data management is macro trend agnostic. No matter what these headlines are today, no matter what they were 5 years ago, no matter what they're going to be in 5 or 10 or 15, 20 years from now, if it has to do with technology, you're going to need data management. So the truth about data management is the value of every digitally transformative customer-facing initiative, every as-a-service offering, every foray into e-commerce, every enterprise software implementation is inextricably linked to the successful output of your data management efforts. That is the longest, most complicated way I could say GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. We all learned that on the first day of data. What you put into something is what you get out of it. If that worked to really drive action, I wouldn't be here. So I'm trying to elevate some of this classic, almost cliched terminology to something that might resonate with folks who aren't in the data space. So in this case, I like to talk about the golden rule of data. Do unto your data as you would have it do unto you. What you put into data management is going to be directly connected to the value you get out of business intelligence and data science. You put bad data into ERP, you get a lousy ERP. Bad data into CRM, you will miss customer opportunities. Bad data into fintech, you'll get a visit from the regulators. Bad data into ML, bad robots. Bad data into data science fiction. Bad data into BI, BS. Bad data into AI, AS. Artificial stupidity. No matter how you slice it or dice it, the golden rule of data prevails. Do unto your data as you would have it do unto you. Now, if you don't believe me, and you're a lot of data science experts out there, how about one of the leading data science thought leaders on earth here, Andrew Ng, who recently talking about this idea of shifting from a model-centric approach to a data-centric approach. What he's saying is don't spend as much time on your model as you used to. Just get better data. Part of me loves this. I'm so glad that somebody of that stature is talking about these same principles. But part of me also feels like, okay, breaking news here. Data science leader discovers GIGO. This is the basics. So I compliment and support him in this initiative, but it's something we all need to learn, understand, and take to heart and do. If you get better data, the stuff you do will be better. So the truth about data management in a lot of ways is good decisions you make on bad data are just bad decisions you don't know about yet. Now, data can be confusing. It can be really confusing. I get it. I pick on us all the time because I'm trying to help us as a community speak the language of the business, talk about why it's important instead of how we do it. So thinking here about the great Canadian philosopher's advice, I know some of you probably coming in from Canada are like, Canadian philosopher? We don't see those words together too much. It is, yes, you know it, Avril Lavigne, the great Canadian philosopher who said, why have to go make things so complicated? Why? Why do we? Why do we have to use all this fancy terminology when we're trying to talk to the business side? I mean, take a look here. Here's some thoughts on some ways we talk. Reverse ETL. Already, you got a business person going, what? We use reverse ETL with auto AI, and now our data runs backwards in circles, and south of the equator, we can make it go counterclockwise. The lake house. Is that where my data goes on vacation? All this debate about fabric versus mesh. The data fabric and the data mesh will require tighter integration through the data spanks. I know you're out there. I can hear you clicking. How about SQL versus non-SQL? Another passionate debate going on. SQL, no SQL. Who knows what the NO in no SQL stands for? Anybody want to Tell me in the chat when I learned this. It just blew my mind. Yes, NO in SQL stands for not only. Where else on earth but in the data science world does no equal yes? This is why people are so confused by what we're talking about. Can you imagine a data scientist walking into Starbucks? I'll have a no foam, no chai, no whip latte. And the barista goes, oh, you mean you want a regular latte? No, I meant not only whip, not only foam, not only chai. Really, the words we use are so important. This terminology, this cacophony of the vocabulary we've got in the data space is confusing our audience. If you want to talk to the business, you got to speak the language of the business. So getting started here. How do you get started? Where do you get started? Let me show you some ways that I think you shouldn't start. Again, the terminology we use is super important. If you're in the MDM or master data space, you know this term golden record. Walk into your CEO and say, we need a golden record. They'll go, that sounds expensive. Or maybe use Gartner to support some of the big analysts to support your initiatives and your rationale there. I just love this research that they did. Organizations measuring the value of master data, 90% said, no, we do not measure it. And 10% said other. I'm assuming yes is somewhere in other. That's not a very positive graph for those of you in the MDM space. A couple other false starts on the data story. Coming in there, presenting to the board, talking about, we need better data quality. You know what you sound like? You sound like I do. You sound like you're whining, okay? Data quality is super important. You got to measure it. You got to focus on it, but it doesn't sell. It doesn't drive any action. People don't really care about it at the business level. Quality's got a very emotional, subjective perspective around it there. Everybody's got a definition of quality. So it doesn't really work as data quality. When you walk in and say, we need better data quality, if they're listening, they're going to go, why? Answer that why before they even ask it. Talk about this implementation of a new CRM. Talk about whatever the initiatives are in your company that are going to require this better structured content. But if you just focus on data quality, we've been talking about data quality and the need for it for decades and decades and decades. And if that approach worked, again, I wouldn't be here. Here's another one I love to pick on because I hate it so much. Data's the new oil. Please don't say that anymore. I'm asking you as a personal favor, say no to didn't know. Is data the new oil? No, it's neither. Part of the problem with this metaphor is that some people think it's a simile. Data is like oil because you've got to refine it and you get value out of it this way. But data is not like oil because data is sustainable. You can reuse it all the time. This bickering and debate that goes on in LinkedIn proves my point, which is as a piece of imagery, it's not effective because we don't even agree what data, the new oil, even means. And the reason to use this kind of any sort of imagery is to shorten the distance to understanding. So if you got to go up there and say, I'm going to talk to you about how valuable data is the new oil, then you got to explain it for the first 7 minutes of your discussion. You are wasting a ton of time and it's not a good metaphor or simile. And if you use this graphic, let me tell you why you should stop doing that. Most people don't even read the headline. The world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. Well, that's the headline. That's a good one. But what about the subhead? The data economy demands a new approach to antitrust rules, regulating the internet giants. This article is about how these large platforms, social media platforms, were controlling access to data like the oil barons were back in the day. That is not a positive discussion about data. And just to put it, hopefully a last nail in that coffin, here are some cave drawings that some people suggest are actually the first form of data. So using Flintstone logic and timing, data is actually older than oil. How do you like that? And the last one here, There's more data now than ever before. We've got so much data from all these different systems. There's more data now than there ever was. There's more data now than there was when I started to tell you there's more data now than there ever was before. Again, stop it. It's just a cliche. I did some research here, some exclusive research I'm going to share with you right now. How much more you will hear about how much more data there is now than ever before. A while ago, we heard it sometimes. Now we hear it often. Soon we hear it more. Later we're going to hear it a lot more. And eventually we're going to hear it always. It's constant. Again, it's just noise now. So these old stories have got to change. We've got to use a new approach. And the approach you should use is focused on why your company exists. Every enterprise has a data story to tell, and your data story is about how you provide value to your relationships through your brands at scale. Again, provide value to your relationships through your brands at scale. Scale means technology, hardware, software, data. You have data, you need data management. Value, where do companies get value? In my experience, there's only 4 buckets of value. And whether you're doing data management or data science, think about how you can help in these. Grow the business, improve the business, protect the business, sustain the business. Grow through increased sales, improve through operational efficiency, protect through mitigating risk, sustain through ESG initiatives. There's really no other way that people use data or try and get value for their company. We make things way too complicated, as Avra will remind us. When we talk about relationships, let me pick apart all these words here. Think about the way you categorize or talk about or name relationships. Every brand, every company has relationships. They could be customers, they could be vendors, partners, prospects, consumers, citizens, patients, clients, whatever you call it, you have relationships. And that's the most important part of your business. If you don't have relationships, you don't have a business. Again, what you call it might be specific to your sector or your enterprise, but we all have relationships. And we deliver value to those relationships through our brands. And every company has brands. Everyone's not Coca-Cola or Chevrolet. You still have a brand. That could be a service, it could be a product, it could be an offering, a location, a banner. There could be parts that you manage to build that brand or ingredients or materials, all those different piece parts that go into making your brand. But again, every company is trying to provide value to their relationships through their brands at scale. And the focus of analytics and the focus of data science and the focus of data management are often around those domains, the relationships and the brands. And if you don't have good data about those, how are you going to get there? So you want to look, how is my relationship data? How is my brand data? So now let's talk about leveraging the 3 V's of data storytelling here with a little knowing wink to the 3 V's of big data. But my 3 V's are vocabulary, voice, and vision. You want to establish an accessible vocabulary, you want to harmonize to a common voice, and you want to illuminate your business vision. So establishing an accessible vocabulary, the words we use are important. I think I've shared enough examples about words that are confusing or distracting or cliche, but skip that legacy lexicon as well around things like quality, cleansing, freshness, hygiene. You want to clear a room of stakeholders, tell them we're going to embark on a data hygiene program. They'll go running for the doors. These are old, tactical, clerical, back office, boring sounding words. Nobody wants to deal with that stuff. Think about definitive words. Think about words that offer tangible meaning, structure, standards, interoperability that you want to enable. So the vocabulary you use in terms of data management is really important because the old words have not worked. And think about your enterprise terminology for your relationships, for your offerings, for your hierarchies, for your segmentation, and use industry vertical nomenclature. So you've got, no matter what industry you're in, there's a standards body out there that has a set of terminology that your business side is already familiar and fluent in. Those are the kinds of things you want to use in terms of describing what you need. And a vocabulary tip, start with your existing business glossary. If your data management folks have done that hard work, and those of you who are purely on the data science side, go meet and talk to your data management folks. Find that business glossary. All those terminologies that they have, that's what the rest of the data is about. An example I like to use is, think about a really fancy data visualization technique. What do you call it? A table, rows and columns. People are really good at columns. They're really difficult to align rows. You take two spreadsheets and try and bang them together. We've all experienced this. Anybody can add more columns, more attributes, more indicators, more KPIs, but they've got to align those rows. The columns are about the rows. The rows are your business, customers, products, markets, segments. Make sure you understand the rows in your business, either literally or metaphorically. But the rows are what's important. That's what the rest of your business is about. I like to talk about this way to explain this kind of stuff to the business side is through a concept I call the 4 C's of data structure or master data or data modeling, however you want to talk about it. But it's these 4-dimensional pieces that I believe drive so much of what every organization does with data. And these 4 C's are code, company, category, and country. So you think about a code, a unique identifier. Every record has a code. It might be a tax ID. It might be a syndicated number. It might be a customer number, a product ID, whatever it happens to be. But you need a code on a piece of data to uniquely identify it in a database or data lake or data warehouse or wherever you're putting it. You still need that code number to show that it's unique. Then often, certainly with brands and relationships, you need to have some sort of hierarchy, some sort of parent-child relationship. What company does this belong to? A ship to, build to, plan to, sell to if you're talking to customers. And so you need that hierarchical relationship to do really important and basic classic use cases like we're sending a salesperson to the lower right oval. Did we know that that was related to the lower left oval? Or we're sharing and giving a great deal to the lower right oval, but we didn't realize that the lower left oval is bad debt. So you want to be able to have that hierarchical structure on those unique entities. Then you need a category. You need to know what kind of thing it is. Category drives all kinds of activity. Market share, targeting, penetration analysis. We're really good with this kind of company. Where can we find other kinds of companies like this? Now, category can be really problematic. I haven't looked at any of your data, but I'm sure if you did a category analysis on, let's say, your customer master, you would find one of your top 2 or 3 categories is something called other. Do you have that? Do you have other? Do you have other? That's one of my favorites. It's like, why do you have other? Because the salespeople have such trouble spelling miscellaneous. Best one I ever found was an attribute DK. We asked them what that meant, and they said it stands for don't know. Another form of other. And then just because they all start with C, you need country or some form of geography, and country's got all kinds of granularity in it too. It could be zip code or postal code or city or state or province or media market or sales market or measurement market, but all different kinds of configurations of geography. And so when you have these 4 C's, does something exist? Have you authenticated the identity? You can have uniqueness. You can do counts. When you have company, you know who owns it. You understand the full relationship. When you have category, you know what kind of thing it is. You can do segmentation and market share. And when you have country, you know where it is, the geographies, the markets, the physical location. And so it's entity hierarchy taxonomy. Geography is a way to think about it. Or depending on what kind of sector or company you are, you might have different names for it. It could be location, account, channel, market. It could be product, brand, segment, region. It could be item, owner, sector, location. It could be thing, parent, type, and place. But as its essence, if you have this kind of structure on your data, you'll know where something is, what it is, who it is, and that it's unique. And when you have that, all kinds of data problems go away. Let's just take a moment here. I just want to take a Deep data cleansing breath and imagine all those data problems going away for you. Just having that simple structure. That's how you determine the rows. Let me show you an example here. So here's a geography, call it anything you want, Chicago, EMEA, Asia Pac. There are different things in that geography. There are different kinds of things. They belong to different owners. Some of those owners are in the geography. Some of them are outside the geography. These owners put their things wherever they want to, and you need to know what markets they are in. So this crazy Miro-like graphic here is actually a way that you do a lot of reporting. We're doing something in yellow. How many things are they of what type? We're working with red. What markets are they in? We're dealing with blue. Who do they compete with geographically? Again, entity, hierarchy, taxonomy, geography, code, company, category, country, that foundational piece that happens through data management drives so much of what you do. And think about how much data integration happens at that level. Especially data scientists munging and wrangling all that data. Are we integrating at the entity level, the market level? Do we have the same definitions? I could go on and on for 5 more hours on this topic. I won't, but hopefully I made the point that having that core structure and being able to talk to people about it in a way that they can understand it is going to help you be more successful. Phew. All right, on to the second V here. The other ones aren't quite as long. You need to have a common voice, certainly when you are talking about initiatives in data management, and even this has application to the data science world directly as well. You want to share and propagate some sort of narrative, some sort of elevator pitch. You want to skip these in-depth technical explanations. You want to avoid those cliched false starts. Oh, we need more data quality. Data is the new oil. So much more data than ever before. Again, think about having a consistent tone and tenor in your group to be able to tell this same story. If you're a data management or data governance leader out there, start putting these communication vehicles inside your company, almost an internal marketing program to get people's attention. And when you describe what data can do for your organization, I throw away that data is the new oil thing because it doesn't have real relevance unless you're in the oil business, okay? That's the only time you can use it because you should leverage your own brand positioning and category. So if you're a healthcare company, data is the lifeblood of our organization. Healthy data means a healthy enterprise. I've worked with a CDO. He was from a water utility. That was simple. We need to be able to confirm and make sure everybody's is established that we've got clear, clean water that flows through the right pipes. And when you turn the tap, you get what you expect. Very simple analogy that everybody in his organization already understood because they're a water utility. There's a logistics company I worked with, and we talked about, okay, do we know the provenance of data? Do we know, similar to packages moving from one place to the other, do we know where it came from? Do we know what's in it? Do we know where it's going? I heard a presentation from somebody from the Department of Defense in the US who said, data is the payload for our business. Every category can't use that, but it worked for them. And here's a don't. There was a tobacco data leader that I talked to, and he mentioned that, data is like fresh air. You've got to breathe it in and fill your lungs. I'm like, man, that doesn't work for this group. I read the room here. That's the wrong analogy. But the point is, use your own brand and your own positioning that your own company already understands to communicate the value of data. And focus on those business topics. Grow, improve, protect, sustain. And here's a voice tip for you. Seek out other data storytellers or other storytellers, not data storytellers, storytellers in your organization. If you are somebody who is working on keyboards all day, who's kind of heads down, who really doesn't want to present that sort of thing, but you've got to. If you want to succeed in business, you've got to be able to communicate. And so these soft skills, as I call them, are important for everybody out there on the other side of this webcam. You've got to be able to communicate. And depending on the size of your company, you may have resources that you can lean on. Corporate communications department, people in HR who'll give you public speaking kinds of services and exercises and programs. So look for those. Not everybody's like me. I think I have a fear of not public speaking. So I know I'm an exception there, but I don't work with data as well as you do. So we're trying to share our expertise back and forth here, but get up on your feet, practice it in the mirror, talk to somebody who doesn't know the data business and see if they understand you, your friends, your partner, your dog, whoever it happens to be. But one tip I'll give you as well is don't make your pitch in front of the people you need to make your pitch to the first time you do it. Don't practice in front of the original audience. You've got to be able to be comfortable with this and rehearse it and get yourself fluent in the kind of message you want to present. And the final one, I don't know which one's more important, but they all build on each other. The final vision is you've got to illuminate your business vision. Why does what you're doing with data enable the strategic intentions of your enterprise? Why is it going to help you get to where you've got to go? That's really important for you to directly connect the work you do in data to where your C-level executives and your business leaders are trying to take the company. You are part of the business. I kind of hate this separation we have sometimes between the business and data. You're all part of the business. Learn your business and understand where it needs to go. And how do you figure that out? Listen to your leaders. Read your annual report. Look at your investor day presentation. Think about what they say in the first 10 minutes of your company meeting when they're talking about the direction they're going to go. You will find the hooks in there that can link to what you're doing with data. And you can also hear a lot of initiatives that they've got that aren't going to get there unless you provide the services you can. So this is where you find a lot of opportunities. Listen to the vision of your company. Now let me put all together here in an example in the last couple minutes. Here's an example from an actual company that I worked with when I was working for a different company. But it's an example of how to tie data management to the strategic intentions of an enterprise. This is kind of a composite of their investor day presentation. Again, if you work for a public company, find this for your company because it is the summation and effort of your full C-level in game day uniform going out there to the investment community trying to get funding and support from them. So they're going to put their best visionary foot forward. So in this case, the 3 V's are behind the scenes here. So the first one we looked for is vision. What's the vision of this company? It's right there. They say it. It's called our vision. How hard was that to find? And right up there it says, we aspire to be the premier partner of choice for our customers and suppliers. Relationships. Right there at the top. The first words about where this company is going is they want to be a premier partner of choice for their customers and suppliers. Bingo. The voice is throughout all the things they do in this strategic framework. Customer engagement, enterprise effectiveness, brand management, grow the business, improve the business, protect the business are all embedded in those kinds of activities and the slides they had behind those headlines. And the vocabulary is part of these company fast facts. They're doing business in 90 countries. You know what that means. They grew, I knew that this company grew by merger and acquisition and across all those different geographies. They got, 50, 60, 100 different ERP systems, CRM systems. So behind the scenes, there's all this enterprise technology going on that doesn't quite align yet. They got 800 suppliers. They have 100,000 plus customers. What do they call those? What's the hierarchy? What's the taxonomy? What's the category? What's the geography? Do they have uniqueness? That's the next step. So this was wonderful in terms of understanding where the business wants to go. Now, how do we tie the importance of data management to this? Here's a very slim, specific example. The data reality smacks them in the face. So we took a look at their customer master. And in this case, we found in this particular customer name, Panasonic Mobile Communications, they had 185 duplicates. They had 185 copies of the same record. There ain't nothing strategic about that. The selling and the excuses stop at this. This is data reality. How can you possibly be the premier partner of choice for Panasonic Mobile Communications when you have 185 copies of the same record? You can't even sum up what they do with you. This was used to help pitch a major data management program at this organization. Very short version of that story, but this kind of thing works. The clues are there, the evidence is there. Listen to your company, figure out what they do, and see if they've got the data to back it up. That's where you can help. So leveraging these three V's of data storytelling: vocabulary, the words you use, voice is the way you talk, and vision is why it's important. Now I'm going to take a moment here. Oh, we're going to do questions now. So I'll take a pause here. We'll do some questions. How's that? How am I running? Okay. Hey, Nathan, you're back.
I'm back. Yeah, and we have plenty of time. So
Super.
remember, if you have questions, Scott will be giving away a free version of his ebook for the best questions. So make sure to ask your questions right now. Scott, we've got a couple that I'll read out to you. The first one says, what are your thoughts about synthetic data?
Synthetic data, I know, is like really cool. I've also heard it called fake data, but I think if you into a business leader and say, we want to use synthetic and fake data to drive real business value, they're going to go, what are you even talking about? So I think the name is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think the value of it, once you dig it a couple layers down, obviously it's really important. Methodologically, I can't speak to it at all, but that was one bit I actually cut. I had a slide about synthetic and fake data delivering real business value. Again, it just, what are we saying here? So that's my mini rant on synthetic data.
And then what are universal metrics / frameworks needed to follow to make sure that data is correct for AI, BI reports, insights, etc.?
I think they're the same metrics that we need to follow for all the operational stuff. So when you think about that data structure, nobody's going to do data modeling off of my 4 C's, but those are inherently important. Do you have the rows right? Do you have uniqueness? Do you have hierarchy? Do you have taxonomy? Do you have geography? So many questions that you have and you're trying to answer with AI and business intelligence and analytics are things like, why is our market share going down? Well, market share is calculated by understanding a set of companies that you compete with and a predetermined set of products that make up the category that you are measuring. These things all have to be structured correctly. And that's why I'm way up front, truth before meaning. Obviously, I'm on the truth team, hence the meaning of my truth hat here. But I don't have a classic framework. There's a lot of experts out there who do that. And I would, have something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're working just steeped in analytics and business intelligence and you haven't met your data governance team, go talk to them. It pains me every time I hear about data scientists talking about how 60, 80, 120% of their time is spent munging and wrangling data, cleaning data. That's not really why they hired you. And if 80% of your time is spent doing something that isn't what they hired you for, then what is your job? And I think there's some real value in pairing up the data management community with the data science community, which is why I'm so passionate about, which is why I'm even doing this webinar, to get you better data. Don't start with a blank screen. Don't start with a blank, Jupyter notebook or Excel file, whatever you're going to use. Some of this structure already exists. And if you want to operationalize your models, if you want to put your models in production, and you don't have to go far, Gartner says at least half of them never see the light of day. They have to be structured in a way that they can be operationalized. And so master data, reference data, metadata that your company already leans on, I believe that's where you should start.
Okay. Are there any techniques to remove IT buzzwords?
Speak in the language of the business. Yeah, know that they're buzzwords. And the challenge we have in the data space is one person's buzzword is another person's disruptive, innovative, world-changing idea. But anything, I'll give you some tips. Anything that's an abbreviation that you then have to explain isn't a good term, because you're trying to coin something that doesn't really exist. I call it the Mean Girls school of marketing. So if you follow Mean Girls, which has probably never been mentioned in any of the 64 Data Science Dojo
I think
webinars yet, you can look at the concordance there. But in there, I believe it's Gretchen says, everything's so fetch. That's so fetch. And Rachel goes, will you stop trying to make fetch work? And that's what I feel like sometimes in the data space. People are trying to make fetch work, okay? If it's data lakehouse, again, I'm sure it has lots of good technical benefits, but it just seems like a silly name to me. Data downtime, I heard somebody use. It's just like, and this comes from marketing. I mean, I'm a marketer, so I know, our good side and bad side, but trying to just coin a new term, especially for something that already exists, is just a waste of space and air. And I think that's where the buzziness comes from. And, I'd like to see us just be a little simpler, a little more straightforward, and use words that people understand.
And do you have any advice for new professionals in the data science space?
Yes, learn your business. As I said, what I told my children when they went out into business, what I tell everybody when they say, okay, what would you say to anybody starting? It's the same answer. Learn your business. You cannot learn too much about the business you're in. Don't go into it with like, where's data? Take a step back and just learn your business. What do you make? How does it get there? How does your company deliver value to your relationships through your brands at scale? Scale's where your opportunity is. Scale is only happens with data. But learn your business. Are you a financial services organization that works just, digitally native and works everything on the web? Or are you a 100-year-old manufacturer that's innovative, but you've got to you make something in a factory that goes on a truck, that goes on into a warehouse, that goes on another truck, that goes on a shelf, that goes in somebody's cart, that goes into their kitchen. Lots of different intermediaries. Learn your business. Learn all the tiers of your business about how your stuff that you make gets to those who get value out of it. And every one of those stops is another data opportunity. So learn your business. Be an expert in your business. Talk to your sales organization. Talk to your marketing people. Talk to your operations folks. Finance, even legal. So when you get a chance to talk to your C-level, they know you get the business. They love that when you know their business.
And then as of right now, this is our last question. We'll see if another one comes up while you're answering it. But what advice do you have on helping companies minimize producing repetitive annual brief topics like accession and retention metrics?
I don't even know if I can answer that question. Is there a redundancy department at your organization? I don't know. I think I'm going to pass on that one. Can I pass on? I pass.
I guess. Okay.
We can pass. All right. Yeah. I love this comment that's in the chat here. Somebody said, "Don't know." DK could have been Donna Karen. I love that. That was funny. Wherever you are, Mary A said to that. So, thank you. All right then. I think we're good. Let me move on. Just one more. I want to tell you one more data story here, which hopefully you'll enjoy, which is a little cautionary tale about the lack of data governance. It's a video, so I'm going to put myself on mute so you can hear the video sound, and we will go from there. Enjoy. How are we doing today?
Yes.
Should we read some books?
Yes. Could you read me a book about data governance, Pop Pop?
Of course I can. How about The Little Red Data Hen?
Yeah.
Once upon a time, in a legacy barnyard, there was a little red data hen. She knew all her data could help all the other animals do their job better, but they never paid enough attention. One day, the little red data hen called all the animals into the barnyard. Who wants to create a data-driven utopia of interoperability where our insights flow freely from workflow to edge across integrated ecosystems? Asked the little red data hen.
Got a lot of buzzwords.
I know. Who wants great data? Asked the little red data hen. I do. Mood, the sales cow. I need to cross-sell and upsell. I do. Barked the finance puppy. I need to maintain regulatory compliance. I do. Oinked the marketing pig. I need better targeting for our customer journey. But the little red data hen had a big problem. All our data is a mess, she said, and it's stuck in silos. And because she lived on a farm, those were real silos.
What are silos?
That's a place where people keep data separate from other data.
Why?
It's a problem everywhere.
So they don't get mixed up?
Yeah, so they don't get mixed up. I'm seeking stakeholder engagement, said the little red hen. Who will help me collect and catalog the data, she asked.
Not I, mooed the sales cow. I need to focus on revenue.
Not I, barked the finance puppy. I don't see the immediate ROI.
Not I, oinked the marketing pig. My priority is brand equity.
Oh, very well, I'll do it myself, said the little red data hen. And she collected and cataloged all the data she could from all the silos and migrated it.
Did she do ETL?
No, she did ELT.
Oh.
Now, the little red data hen needed more help. Who will help me govern, structure, and steward the data?
Not I. You're in charge of data, not me.
Not I. That sounds like an IT job.
Not I. Just upgrade your software stack and that will take care of it.
Oh, very well, I'll do it myself, said the little red data hen. And she went off and established a data governance skunk works. And because she lived on a farm, she used a real skunk.
Yeah.
Finally, the little red data hen thought she had everything ready to go. She had taken the data from the silos, she cataloged, governed, structured, and stewarded the data in a hybrid cloud data lake behind the barn.
She could use a data mesh.
You're right. Who will help me leverage all our trusted data? Asked the little red hen.
I will. Now I have customer 360.
I will. Now all our numbers tie out.
I will. Now we can reduce customer churn.
Finally, the whole barnyard can have consistent KPIs. They all mooed and barked and oinked. The little red hen was so happy and excited. Unfortunately, it was too late. By that point, the legacy barnyard was disrupted by a data science-based farming startup that used predictive analytics to provide an innovative crop-as-a-service offering.
What's that mean?
They had to close down because they waited too long to fix their data.
Why?
They just couldn't get the stakeholder engagement. The finance puppy was given away. The sales cow, the marketing pig, and the little red data hen were all sold to a food service operation. Don't be like a bunch of silly barnyard animals. Managing data is the job of the whole farm. The end.
Such a funny book. Papa, is data the new oil?
That is a different story.
There you go. I hope you like my little grandson there, Data Whisperer Jr., telling him the little red data hen story. Whoops. There we go. So living happily ever after in this data storytelling world. Every enterprise has a data story to tell. It's about delivering value to your relationships through your brands at scale. Two types of data storytelling, as I mentioned. One about data, data management, determining the truth. One with data, business intelligence, deriving meaning. Balance the how and why. Focus on the why as we did today, but you got to have the how. You got to get it done, but really understand why it's important. That's the way to leverage your story. Avoid those false starts, quality, didn't know so much data. Leverage these 3 V's, vocabulary, voice, and vision. And an effective narrative captures the hearts and minds of the business and will actually help motivate your team. I talked to somebody today about talking to their data steward team to help them realize that the work that they do stewarding data actually is directly connected to the value that they bring to their customers at the highest level. And the last page in my book, I'm not giving away any secrets here. It's not a suspenseful ending. Hardware comes and goes. Software comes and goes. Data remains. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank Data Science Dojo for finding me and having me share my thoughts with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I look from some of the comments like things are moving along quickly. I think I have to award the book to Mary A., not for her questions, but for her tremendous number of comments in there, which have been keeping me going there, especially her Donna Karen DK thing and a bunch of other ones she went in there. So Mary A., whoever you are, if you can get your email over to Nathan, we'll send you a code to be able to get that book. And thank you all for listening. If you want to get the book, technicspub.com. If you use the code Data Whisper, you can get 20% off, or it's also at Amazon. I've got these YouTube videos. I do data events and data shows for brands if you're interested. But at the very minimum, if you liked anything I said, please follow me on LinkedIn. There's a QR code talking about a data guy that'll bring you right to my profile there. But thanks for listening today, and I certainly enjoyed it.
Wow, Scott, great video.
We'll send you some links to that too. We have we have a place to put links, I think.
Yeah, we'll have
so we'll have links to that and a PDF and that sort of thing to that, and some other videos you might enjoy as well.
Perfect. That'd be great. All right. So thanks everyone for joining. For Mary, I think you already have my email address because I think we've talked outside of webinars before. So shoot me an email and I'll make sure you get. I'll introduce you to Scott. But thanks everyone for joining, and big thanks to Scott. This was, like Scott mentioned at the start of this webinar, this was our 64th webinar or community webinar of 2022, and it's also our final webinar for 2022. So I just want to say a big thanks to all of our presenters, everyone who joined, my marketing team for sitting through these events with me and helping engage the audience, and especially to Fatima Rafiq, who she is in here with us today. She planned and scheduled all of these events. So she's kind of the brains behind the operation. So big thank you to Fatima.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll be back at the beginning of 2023. So we're going to take a couple of weeks to get 2023 going. And until then, I hope everyone enjoys the holidays and has a happy new year. So again, thank you, Scott. We'll make sure that the recording and everything gets set up, and we'll send you an email when that's ready. To everybody else, just be on the lookout on social for the recording, and we will also, if we have your email, if you joined us on Zoom, we will send you an email when the recording's available. All right, have a good one, everyone.